Welcome everyone to today's CSE Development in Action webinar. Today's webinar is on empowering women and youth in Uganda through social entrepreneurship. A very interesting topic, and I'm pleased to welcome Commonwealth Alumnus James Otai to deliver this webinar for us. James is the co-founder and director of business development and operations at Imagine Her, which is a Uganda-based non-profit organization. And in this webinar, he will talk about his work in supporting women and youth from remote communities in developing entrepreneurial skills while creating sustainable solutions within their communities. I can't wait to hear more about James's work at Imagine Her, and the work that his organization is doing in remote communities in Uganda. James is a 2019 Commonwealth Scholar from Uganda. He has completed his MSc in Environment and Business Management from Bangor University. So without any further delay, I would now hand over to James to continue with his webinar presentation and talk more about his work.
Thank you so very much, Eva, for the beautiful introduction. That was really nice of you. Yes, again, I wouldn't want to take more time. So this is the overview of our conversation today. As Eva said, my name is James Otai. I'm here in Uganda, based here in Wakiso, near the capital of Kampala. So in the overview, I'll take you through my scholarship experience at Bangor University. I will also be discussing about our organization, our work, story of Imagine Her, and then talk a bit of the challenges faced by women and youth here in Uganda, which will actually somehow cut across to most of the developing countries in the world. And then we shall dive deep into our solution, our model as Imagine Her, what we are doing to address that. And specifically, I will be speaking about social enterprise and innovation program that we implement here at Imagine Her, take you through our impact so far, and then I will also be sharing about what we're doing in terms of the sustainability of the organization and sharing the knowledge with other organizations on what we are doing. And then I will take you through our future plans as Imagine Her briefly. Of course, share with you what so far we've accomplished. And then I will be welcoming questions from you all. Thank you once more for giving me this opportunity to speak to alumni all over the world. So just as I said about our experience, just as Eva said, I'm a 2019 scholar. I joined Bangor in 2019 without knowing about COVID. As soon as we arrived, a few months towards the scholarship, COVID hit us very hard. So that put us into lockdown. A lot of challenges there, thinking about death only every day with hope that you could return. So just before COVID, as you look at this photo, that's myself and the Vice Chancellor by then, Bangor University. I was receiving my award, their scholarship award. Just to also highlight that I joined Commonwealth Scholarship Commission under the shared Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. That is under Bangor University, CSE, and Window Trust International. That's how I got myself to study my master's in the UK. So our story, I just want to bring you up to speed. How did I end up joining Imagine Her to co-found Imagine Her? The story was longer than the way it started. When I was in my senior one, I experienced a very terrible thing, which by then I didn't really feel its impact, not until I joined campus and started working. And that's when I realized that the impact was too much. One day, I was charged with the responsibility of sweeping a class, which was too dusty, me and my colleagues. So we rushed to get brooms, sweeping the class. Everyone vacated the class. Unfortunately, one girl, let's call her Gloria, not her real name, actually remained seated in the class, in a very dusty class. And I was really upset. I'm like, are you not seeing what we are doing? Why are you still seated there? And everyone has gone, you're still sitting there. So even students who had gone out started coming back to class, witnessing what was going on between us and the girl in class, in senior one. And then one elderly girl walked in with a sweater. And when Gloria stood up, all her dress was actually full of blood. So that means she experienced her first menarche. That was her first menstruation. She didn't know what to do. So the elderly girl wrapped her sweater around Gloria, and that's when Gloria was able to go out. 10 years later, um, I met this gentleman just here, as you look at in the picture here. It's called Nathan. We met during our internship, and we really became so close. So Nathan was doing his last year thesis and was focusing on rural communities. He was trying to find out in primary schools, why do students miss school? And really came out that it was the reason of menstrual hygiene, especially the girls. They were not able to manage their menses. They would miss 3 days, 2 days without coming to school because of the problem. And others actually dropped out. So when Nathan contacted me, he said, man, I've found this problem. What can we do? Quickly, it came into my mind what happened. And what was shocking about is that it came out that the boys actually the ones discouraging the girls to attend, especially during that period, because of the stigma, the trauma that would cause them. I realized my own actions that I did in my senior one, like, and Gloria actually missed 2 weeks of class after everyone mocking her. Why didn't you use sanitary pads? You don't know about the things. So we all didn't know what we were saying. So when that came out, I was so much touched. So I joined Nathan and we co-founded Imagine Her as an organization. So the story of Imagine Her started to address the issues of menstrual hygiene in primary schools and basically focusing on girls as well as the boy child to be involved in there. So over time, what are we doing as Imagine Her? Just as you look at right now, we work with the communities to accelerate the potential and of course the opportunities for the rural girls, especially rural women and the youth, to become active leaders and social entrepreneurs who can create sustainable solutions within their communities. So over time, our work has transitioned from only focusing on menstrual hygiene to also look at issues to do with social entrepreneurship. So here with Nathan, we were launching the Becoming program, which handles issues of menstrual hygiene. I will talk about that later during the webinar. I will take you through that. So right now, when you look at the entrepreneurship sector, the business sector, especially for a woman in your community, dear listener who is here, dear alumnus who is here, can you please take a minute and let us know through the chat section, what are those challenges that women face in your community right now to start an enterprise or business? It would be great to hear from you some of those, and as we go in, we would be actually able to compare. You never know, maybe we are sharing some of those. So let's go quickly to our chat box and drop in those challenges that women in our community, or you as a lady, if you're here, you might be facing the same. What is that's prohibiting you from starting your own business or an enterprise in your community? Let's take a minute on that, and
Yes,
then
I'd like to invite everyone to maybe in a word or two mention the challenges that you know or you have personally faced that women face while starting a business or enterprise.
Awesome. Let's do that.
We will also have a post-webinar networking session. So it would be good to, hear more about your experiences of supporting women or your personal experiences of starting a business and the challenges you have faced and how you overcame these challenges. We will have a post-webinar 30 minutes networking session. So please do stay online and continue these discussions later. James, I'm not sure if you can have a look at the chat box, but we do have a few responses coming through.
Limited financing. So financing is becoming a big one here. Lack of natural resources, lack of funds, limited market, lack of entrepreneurship education, investments, gender biasness.
Startup funding, stakeholder
Yes,
investment.
startup funding. Yeah, awesome. I think just Eva, we shall come back to this as well as we
Yes.
discuss deeper into it. You realize that what is really common right now, if we even go in there, is that you realize that in most of the communities, it's coming out that funding is a problem. And why is this a problem? Eva, okay. Right. So when you look at some of the reasons, I've just put limited of them. You have actually elaborated so many of them in the chat box. You realize that funding is one of them. And what is bringing this is that the access, how do you even access capital for the first place? So when you look at going to the banks, going to where there's collateral, and all of us, some of us know, being in the developing countries, women actually don't own much. And someone say there lack of natural resources. So you don't have land, you don't have anything. So when you look at Uganda today, all these things have compounded to bring us a very big problem. We are the 10th in the world in terms of economic dependency. That means in Uganda, 87 of us are depending on the few who are working. So if you are the only person working in your community or in your household, the rest of the people are depending on you. And this is really high when it comes to who depends on these people. It's mainly women. Why? Because as you said in the comment there, limited access to resources, for example, capital. If so few, when you talk about even commercial banks, are willing to stake on women, they're not really willing to invest. People are fearing, like if you invest in a woman, the husband will take over. A woman itself, herself, do not have the land. They do not have anything to do with collateral. You do not have anything to stake. You only own your body. So at the end of the day, women are really disadvantaged. And likewise to the youth, as we all, some of us know that even for you to have property in your house, as a youth, your parent has to first give you your proportion. So you don't have the land that you can take control as a youth by yourself, though they have a little bit of similar challenges in there. So the unemployment has also become a very big issue in most of the developing countries, especially in Uganda right now, we are talking about 12% of Ugandans are unemployed. And to add on that, the youth are contribute a bigger percentage on that. When you look at 17% of the youth who are unemployed, around 41% are below, between the age of 18 and 30. So the majority of the energetic people are not finding jobs. And that's where the challenge is. And the women now end up in processes which are not favoring them to start up their enterprises. So here, when you look at this photo, someone actually mentioned about education and entrepreneurship education. Imagine her is here trying to bridge that gap. How do we let women, especially in the rural community? Some of us might be witnessing that most of the organizations, even government programs, are focusing on the urban women. So, but for us, imagine that we're looking at who is that woman in the village, rural community, who is not able to access the opportunity here. So we are here. This is one of our staff trying to take a lady through, a youth through in terms of budgeting. So getting them those skills that will enable them come out of that is what we are doing as Imagine. So why are we doing this? When you look at right now, it's women and youth who are affected by the majority of things. Talk about climate change. Talk about unpaid work. You realize they're there. So 74% of Ugandans are in rural areas right now as we speak. Though that has really tried, people have moved to town, but the majority of them still live in the rural community. And when you look at even based on experience, you realize that many of them are women. Because these are people who take care of children, who are, other responsibilities as at home. So their husbands can go to town, look for money, but most of them are really rooted in the community. So in rural communities, 70% of the people are just engaged in unpaid work. So you're doing subsistence agriculture, you're not paid for whatever services you're giving, and as well as when you're giving care, people who take care of children, elderly, are mainly women, especially in developing countries, and it's like designated for that. So what is this bringing? In Uganda specifically, so many of these, especially the young girls, have dropped out because of the challenges we are highlighted. And because of the harsh conditions in the community, when you don't have money, you're actually vulnerable to anyone. So people come to lie you that they can give you this, they can give you sanitary pass, they can give you a better life if you left education. So girls have dropped out, they have started marrying early. And when you look at those who are married, and I want you to really make this very clear. If a girl marries when they're uneducated, poverty is a must in such a family. And you realize that girls who get married early, even when things go bad in the marriage, they still continue to stay there. And sometimes our community says that you don't need to move. What about your children, especially if they produce children? They will have to remain in abusive relationships because, one, they feel they can't stand alone. They need someone to depend on. So they are not economically independent to take decisions about their bodies, about their future. So they remain in that. There's also gender-based violence. If I'm giving you, you have no right of your own self. So if I'm the one providing, we all know this, I can come back home, demand anything, beat you as I want because I feel I'm the one taking care of you with even your children. So all these things, among others, have brought gender equality among our societies, and the women are the most actually affected. So sometimes you realize that when you're in town, you feel like all is well until you go to the community in a rural setting. That's when you know that things are really not good for our women. So in that, our government, I want to acknowledge that, has done some great job in terms of how do we empower women. There are programs of government that are there to empower women. Talk about Uganda Women Empowerment Program that the government has put in place, youth livelihood. Recently, we also had parish development model. All these programs are meant to support the women within our country. However, most of these initiatives actually remain in the pre-urban or urban settings. A woman in the community, in the rural community, cannot get these services easily. And also in terms of monitoring, as we know that the government has good intentions, but the people who probably be implementing this are not actually monitoring to get the best out of it. So at the end of the day, our women in the community still suffer, and the youth suffer the consequences of having no finances actually to survive. So what is Imagine Her doing? Comrades, I want to bring to you, what are we doing as an organization to address these challenges that we are facing in our community, especially among our rural women and the youth? So as I said earlier, our first program was about menstrual hygiene. And when you look at this part of the slide, you realize that we have what we call the Becoming program. So with the Becoming program, what are we focusing on? Initially, when we started this program, we could move all over the country. We could go to the northern part, the Karamoja side, Teso sub-region, Busoga. We had opportunity to partner with companies like Airtel, Umeme, all that. We're able to train women and girls in those communities through the outreaches and schools across the country on menstrual hygiene. So we did this very well, and we realized that if we move like this, we may not be able to track our impact very well. In 2022, the photo I first showed you, we actually decided that we need to run this program intentionally in schools. So the Becoming program, currently as we speak, runs in schools, and we are basically doing this in Busoga sub-region in Luka district, whereby we partner with primary schools and the communities where these girls come from. So when we reach there, we realize that there are challenges beyond menstrual hygiene that are affecting girls, making them to drop out of school, get married early, where you find 11-year-old is already a mother, 23, you're already a grandmother. This was really shocking to us. So, but also we realized that the leaders were part of all this. So we decided to get this program in two ways. One in schools and the other part in the community. So in schools, we are targeting to empower these girls to remain in school, actually to manage their menses, even when they're at school and also in the community. And then the other side is that in the community, we are looking at how do we prevent gender-based violence? How do we prevent child abuse? Because the leaders are the people who marry these girls. So we have programs basically meant to empower the leaders and the community members, the caregivers of these girls, specifically for them to keep them in school. In schools, we are working with teachers to ensure that they deliver this content, they empower girls to be able to take care of themselves. And then there is aspect of social entrepreneurship here, both in school and community. So when you look at the social enterprise, we also in school like, okay, how do we enable a girl to be able to get these entrepreneurial skills while still young? However, slight it is, it can change her life. And of course, when you look at the community as well, we are looking at the parents. Why is a parent unable to provide sanitary pads? Why is a parent unable to provide scholastic materials? It's because of the finances. So the social enterprise program again comes in to make sure that we train the parents also how to start and run a business. And the beauty about our model is that once you're set to run a business, we give you the financial support to start that business in terms of a revolving fund, interest free, that can enable you to kickstart your business. So with teachers, we're also looking at gender responsive pedagogy to ensure that how does a teacher recognize that we need to encourage a girl child to be a doctor tomorrow? Because such things are the things that make girls lose hope that these things are meant for men, and at the end of the day are meant for the kitchen and all that. Also, based on our experience, we launched again last year. We launched a program called Career Pathways. This was based on the experience of dealing with interns. So we realized that the people who come from the university, the students who come from the university, still lack skills that are meant for workplaces. If you tell someone, okay, do an application right now, we have an opening, that's a problem. If just managing office issues alone is a problem. People do not know how to face the real work rather than academic endeavors only. So we started career pathways, partnering with the universities and institutions of learning. Those of you who know Uganda very well, right now we have this program running in Samizi. We also have conversations with other universities like Chambogo and Makerere University. So with this, we are focusing on how do we develop students from the university side, preparing them for two things. One, you're able to finish and get a job, start work, and when you get a job, you stay there. Or if you want to take on entrepreneur side, you're able to start your social enterprise, and we are able to support you kickstart that and also fund that during the process. So in the process that they develop research skills, they also become adaptive leaders, they are able to mentor others. And we're leveraging on this program to support our core problem, our core program that actually I was letting you know that we shall be talking in depth, and that is the social enterprise and innovation program. So, comrades, this program is the heartbeat of Imagine Her Today. However much we started on becoming, we realized that having spoken to the ladies that we're working with, specifically on becoming, like, how do we support you beyond sanitary pads, especially when we brought the program to the community? One thing stood out. They're saying we need economic we need to not depend on other people. And we're like, okay, how do we do this? They said we need skills to run businesses. So when we started this program, we actually brought skills. In our minds, we're thinking, okay, let's give them tailoring skills, bakery skills, and so on. But with the time, we realized that these skills only probably can empower one person. And what happens? We started looking at a broader perspective and say, let's enable women and youth to start businesses that do not only impact they themselves and their household, but as well as the community. And that's why social enterprise and innovation program came in. And the focus we are looking at is how do we start businesses that address issues of climate change, food security, and of course, rural housing. So as we go on, you will see some of the enterprises that the women and youth have started in that regard. So this training is tailored basically to ensure that these people start businesses in that area, and of course others who do not discourage, but businesses that can stand the test of time. And through the process, we give them mentorship, we give them the lean startup capital. So when you look at in the middle here, in our three programs, social enterprise becomes core to all of them. Under becoming, there is social entrepreneurship, and we support them. And career pathways, if these university students are there, we support them to start businesses and run them sustainably. So in that regard, I would like to really dive so much into the social enterprise and innovation program that we run. What are we focusing? Because social entrepreneurship is basically, if you look at social entrepreneurship, how do you start a business that benefits three aspects? You're looking at the community, the people who are in the community. You are able to make money, as well as you're able to impact the environment positively. So that is very, very core for us. And right now, as I said, our thematic areas are basically climate changes and food security. Why did we choose this? When you look at what is happening right now, Uganda, in terms of climate change, we are very vulnerable. When you look at the global adaptation initiative, we are the 14th in terms of vulnerability. We are very vulnerable. And yet, when it comes to ability to adopt to that, we are at the bottom as well. So that means we are most affected by the effects of climate change. And when you look at the areas of climate change, talk about the energy use. When you talk about people who are using charcoal, people who are using firewood, which is currently at 68%, who are these people? They are women. So we are looking at how do we alleviate such areas to make our women live healthy, live longer, and actually serve the nation. And when you also look at the food security, the youth are refusing issues of agriculture. When you talk about agriculture, they think about digging, which is not the case about business, for example. So we are trying to change that. And women are the same people who are working in areas of subsistence agriculture where they're not paid. You dig just to get something small, sell part of it to solve other family problems. So our focus is how do we get entrepreneurs who create bubbles in our rural communities. If James is empowered, he should be able to set up an enterprise that can employ others, that can create impact beyond his household. Now, as imagine here, especially on the SEED program, we are focusing on out of school women and youth aged 16 to 35 years. We believe at this age, you are almost independent. If you're not studying by 16, you're either married or you're really struggling in the community. So we are targeting those categories of people. And we're also looking at how do we ratio. We have 70% of our trainees being women, our participants, and 30% being men. We do not want to leave a man outside of this because from the beginning, it's the boys that intimidate, it's the boys that make decisions. So we want those ambassadors to go out there and tell the world that it's okay, it's done. Women can have man and still coexist with us without actually overthrowing us. So when you look at how do we deliver the social enterprise program, someone asked earlier about the model. Imagine how the major model we're using is design thinking. Some of you are very familiar with the aspect of design thinking. So design thinking is the model we are using, and it's in a practical way. So being in the community, being in the rural community means we develop content, curriculum, which is compatible to that kind category of people. They can easily understand. So in the process, if you know design thinking, you have to start empathizing. Someone has to look at the problem, empathize, define, until you are able to identify the real problem. Because in most cases, in business, people will just say, there's an empty house there, I want to set up a shop. You've not done any research. So with this, the MBA style, we are looking at how do you practically come up with an idea, develop a prototype of a solution and test it before we actually invest in it. So that by the time you test it, you prototype it, and it's not working, you go back to identifying the real problem. So that's what we do, and we support these women and youth in the process for the 3 months. And then when you're ready, your project is ready, you're ready to deliver product, we are able to fund you. We give our participants 1,000 to 1,400 US dollars to start a business. Why we are doing this is that we are trying to be unique. In most cases, organizations or companies do train and you have the skill, but you do not still have the capital. And that is where we come in to give that lean startup capital. So this is a revolving fund, which we tell you that you must return it after you have actually started getting returns out of your business. So we agree on a payment model, and then you are able to bring that so that we impact other women and youth also in the community. So this is a journey of an entrepreneur who comes into our social enterprise program. So you start the 1 month, we are literally creating awareness, talking to community leaders about the project or program, selling the idea to the community, to those who are interested. We are basically looking at those who are interested. Yes, we get referrals from the community leaders, from other entrepreneurs, but we go out there to look for those who are interested, because for us, passion is very important. If you're passionate about something, you've seen a problem in your community, you want to take advantage of by having a solution, you come and work with us. In month 2, we are selecting those. So we go through a rigorous process of what we call a boot camp to select those who are interested and who meet the criteria we have on ground. Within the 3 months, you are undergoing a training, as I explained earlier. So between month 7 and 12, we are doing mentorship back and forth. Where is your prototype? Is it working? Where do you need support? All that, we do that within that period of time. So those who qualify for financing, we are able to advance money to them. And over time, we learned one thing. Initially, we used to give close to 2,000, but also realized that we needed to do that in a phased manner. If you give someone money once, they're able to be excited. Remember, this is a rural community person, and they get excited and they start misusing the money. So we give in a festive manner. So what do you want to start? How much do we need to start first? We give you that until we completely give you the 1,000, and again, still, and then you will be able to bring it back. So in the process, we also link you up to other people who can give market to your products, because we now have a base of entrepreneurs. This entrepreneur can provide market to the other. So, and also outside community, we do that for our entrepreneurs. So what have we done so far? As imagine here, since we started this program, so the C program specifically started in 2017. Imagine RGS started in 2016. That year, we're doing MHM, menstrual hygiene, and then 2017, we launched this program. So we started taking people by cohorts. So to date, as we speak, we have trained more than 900 people, graduated women and youth, and there were 540 of them are able to create businesses, social enterprises within their community. And also within that, according to our research, is that every enterprise is able to create average of 3 jobs. So that means you're employed, you're also able to bring in other people to work for you. And through our program, we're also able to support our graduates of the program to access external funding. So if you see a funding, we support you build application, make sure that you prepare whatever is missing to ensure that you get that fund. And our entrepreneurs are able to raise to date more than $100,000 actually to support their enterprises here within the country. So when you look at this impact, I have actually put together some of those enterprises or entrepreneurs who have been able to excel in their different areas. So we have so many of them. I have actually brought at different stages of either if food security and climate change, and many others are there, as you can actually be able to see them in our website and the YouTube channel that we have. So here, to begin with, this is Kabakoyo. Kabakoyo runs a venture called Glowish Agro Solutions. Kabakoyo is one of those entrepreneurs we are really very proud of, because starting from the beginning, this is where our ideas started. So she makes organic fertilizers from available organic waste. So as you see her here, she's actually spraying tomatoes using her organic fertilizers here. And she has gone ahead to develop other products from the experience she learned from us. And you can actually be able to see her progress within the channel that will be shared with you. And then when you come here, this is so here Kabako is actually in central Uganda, so she's within the Wakiso district. And then here, this is Brenda from Kabarole. So we work in Wakiso, Kabarole, and Luka currently with our programs. So this is Brenda. She actually runs an enterprise that makes a nutritious porridge. So her issue is about malnutrition. How do we provide, especially children, all the nutrients in one go. So she does nutritious forage. And when we started, as you see, today she has set up a factory to manufacture this forage in Kabarole, that side. You'll also be able to see our story on the YouTube channel that we are going to be sharing. So here are myself and Farida. Farida actually, even here you can see I have a product here. So Farida, what she does is that she gets fruits, especially pineapples, from rural farmers, actually, who would either sell their pineapples cheaply or even allow them rot. So what that means is that she's preventing food waste. She's enabling those farmers to earn a living through her purchases. So she buys from them, and she comes to dry the fruits using solar. So if you test these fruits, dried fruits here, this is actually pineapple. There is no difference with the fresh pineapple that you get. The thing she has done here is to prolong the shelf life of this pineapple. As we know, pineapple, when it's ready, it needs to be either sold, eaten, or disposed. So this can stay for longer time here instead of how it for it to rot. So at the end of the day, she's adding value. She's reducing food waste. Of course, that would have affected our environment. Of course, leads to a climate change issue. And she's also providing economic backing to those farmers who are doing that. And she's also employing other people to work with them. So Farida started her business in the garage of her parents, and she was able to excel right now. She's one of those who actually also accessed more funding from the NSSF Innovator. So for some of us who are familiar with that here in Uganda, she's one of the beneficiaries of that. So when you look at here, Brigade, these are the ladies who are working on food waste management. Bridget here is also based in Gaborone. She collects garbage from all over, and sorts them and sells to the companies, and other waste is used to make other products, recycled, repurposed, and so on and so forth. Here is also Maggie. Maggie she makes very, very pretty household items using waste, as you can see. She's transforming the tire there into a table for household use, and so many very good products in there. Here, a lady here called Teddy with her husband actually teamed up to solve the issue of clean energy. So this couple has gone through a very serious transition. They used to make these charcoal stoves, and they are solar powered, and they used to use volcanic rocks. But out of feedback from us, when you sell a product which is not available in the community, when your product is over, how do people access that? So they invented again these cook stoves. And here, when you look at the tap here, this is basically waste oil here. So when you're changing your engine, you would want to throw away that oil and, of course, destroy the environment. This is what this gentleman and the lady are actually surviving on, to make sure that we have clean energy. It lights like gas. If you have gas in your house, blue flame, no smoke, no nothing. And it's solar powered. So the solar helps you to burn. And that's a very creative innovation. So when you want one, you order, and they make you one according to how much you're willing to pay on that. And of course, how big the stove is. Also, as I wrap up a little bit, this is Angela. Angela is actually in terms of housing. She makes the blocks. These blocks here, they don't use much cement. So when you don't use cement, you know that you're saving environment in terms of carbon and so on, carbon dioxide and so on. So she actually, so you don't burn these blocks. When you make them, actually they're ready for use. Using little water, little cement, and saving firewood in terms of burning bricks. And then Mark here, Sentamu, is our entrepreneur. Instead of using, some of us know the plastic pots for seedlings and seeds. So instead of using those black plastics, he uses actually wasted paper and newspapers to make that. So when it grows these vegetables like passion fruits, instead of again removing those things, disorganizing the whole system, the roots of the plants, it plants with all that and it helps even the plant to grow. So those are some of the entrepreneurs. And lastly, we have Green Energy Lab here, where we are supporting young girls who actually are going through technical institutions and they have learned how to do electrical engineering. So we are putting our support to them. So we can give you support in terms of giving you the products that you need to sell. At the end of the day, you sell that and bring us money back. And also we connect you to our rural communities to connect power to those women who need it most. So if you go to the YouTube channel, you will actually be able to watch the success story of that lady. So our YouTube channel is here, and Eva must have probably helped us to put it in the chat. If it's not there, I should be able to, sorry. We're going to put that in the chat box.
I'm about to share it, James. I'll share it.
All right.
Yeah.
So
there
as I conclude, to welcome our questions as well, what are we doing right now as Imagine for the knowledge that we have acquired, for the skills that we have got? We're also cognizant of sustainability in our end. So we have extended our work to other organizations. We are partnered with organizations. So here on the left, myself here, we're offering consultancy to a UK-based organization working in South Sudan. So we are training staff as well on how to reinstate the communities who are affected by war. They are now returning. So we are helping them. How do we build the capacity of staff to enable the returnees to be able to start community-led initiatives to solve the problems that they are having? And then on the right here, we have, so here we're actually trying to get finance for ourselves as well as enable our model to grow beyond our work here in Uganda. And then here we have set out what we call Minecraft as an organization. Of course, as sort of a way of telling stories of other organizations. Currently, the challenge that organizations face is that how do you tell a story? And it becomes more picture or more visual, more, So we are giving this service to other organizations, of course, at a small fee. So tomorrow, if you have an event, or if you want to document your success story, we are actually available to offer that service for you. We have full equipment for that to make sure that we produce videos and good production for you out there. So those are two areas so far. As we grow more areas of generating income for the organization, as well as share our work with the world. So just lastly here, when you look at, these are some of the SDGs we are contributing to, from fighting poverty from the household to climate action. And the most important part is age. How do we put youth and women to decent work? How can they be able to earn their own money and remain independent within the community? Of course, gender equality is there in terms of how do we bring up those who are disadvantaged to be at the same level with the rest of the things. And while doing this, we partner with other organizations, just as I said. So as one of those last slides, you may realize that here we are looking at the 3 years, including this year. We want to make sure that you train 1,500. So our model is 500 per year for the next 3 years. So this year we're going to be training more 500 at 2025, 2026. And we are looking into by 2026, if we raise this money, that is $2,200,000 US, we should not be fundraising again in terms of the lean startup. That money should be able to rotate now to as many entrepreneurs as possible that we want to run our program. So at the end of the day, we shall be creating more than 2,500 jobs in our community, and our youth and women will be able to earn a decent life. Thank you so very much. One of the things I would like to conclude with, last year we ended the year very well. We were recognized by Africa Startup Ecosystem Builders, and we won an award as Entrepreneur Support Organization of the year 2023. So that means whatever we are doing, the world is actually seeing us and acknowledging that effort. So I would like to thank you so very much for taking your time to listen to me in this webinar. And as I just before I invite Eva, and the questions, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the people who work with us, especially community coaches who are down in the community to train women and youth to create all this impact we are talking about. I just want you to know that what you're doing is an amazing job, and the world is actually happy to have you. So, as Imagine Her, within Imagine Her, I also oversee human resource. It's really awesome to see these innovations come from down there. And of course, the leadership of Imagine Her and CSC for giving us this platform to showcase our work. I believe through such support, we shall actually be able to reach more women and youth in the rural community. Thank you so very much, Eva. Back to you.
Thank you so much, James. That was a brilliant, brilliant presentation on your work of your organization and the amazing work that the entrepreneurs are doing on field in Uganda. Um, there have been a few questions coming in the chat box. We are going to spend a few minutes for the Q&A session before we break into the post-webinar networking session. However, I would like you to take this opportunity to ask James any questions you may have around his work, around the organization's objectives, and the work that he does at Imagine Her. Please do send in your questions via the chat box. I would also like to thank all those who have sent in your questions via the registration form. I am going to start the Q&A session with some of those questions and then move to the questions in the chat box. So, James, if you are ready, should we begin with the first question?
Yes, sure.
Great. Could you tell us what technical advice would you give to youth around climate change and mitigation?
Yeah, thank you so much, Eva, on that question. First of all, what I would say is that we have to recognize that climate change is real. It starts there. Sometimes when small things change, we don't tend to see it. We have seen conferences, the COP28, all conferences are talking about how do we sustain the heat at 1.5. And for us, youth, that is where we start to pay attention to, because the future is ours. Basically, if you realize that climate change is real, you will start changing your behavior on whatever you're doing. As a young person, it breaks your heart to see someone tossing plastic bottles through their car window, someone eating and just throwing a cavera there. And when you say, they'll say, we are paying government people to clean that. It starts there. Perception, it starts with us thinking, how do we change our behavior? And once we do that, we shall become advocates of climate change. So there are a few things that we need to do as youth, basically. How are we helping people to change into renewable energy? How are we enabling people to move that way? Have you taken initiative as a person to read more about climate change so that you can do something? As a young person, you wouldn't want to see things happening and you're not engaging a government official, you're not engaged. It starts with engaging your neighbor. Put rubbish in the right place. How do we recycle? How do we repurpose? How do we, all that, those small acts put together will enable us to address issues of climate change. For me, what I can only employ is that take time. We are all alumni here. It means we have research knowledge. Take time, take interest in climate change, and zero down how it's affecting us right now. By so doing, you are able to take an action.
Thank you, James. So throughout the presentation, you spoke about, how you came about founding Imagine Her, your journey right from the Becoming program and, having social enterprise as an aspect to all your programs at Imagine Her. Um, Taking that into consideration, what are some of the challenges faced and how have you been able to overcome some of these challenges as a co-founder of Imagine Her?
Thank you so very much. We have faced challenges at different levels. One, when it comes to becoming, the idea of bringing men to talk about menstrual hygiene alone has been a challenge. It's a taboo. Those things are discussed by women alone. For you to bring a knicker to demonstrate how to put on a pad, men are crazy. Like, okay, what's happening? Like, they fear even to handle a knicker, for example. So that has been a challenge. We bring those men to understand that these are normal things. We have to support our girls. We're going to support our wives and so on. It was a challenge, but it became fun over time. How do you make it out to them? If they learned how to make this, they would have saved money in terms of buying parts all the time. And by so doing, they were actually able to come in. And then when it came to social entrepreneurship, I have to be very honest with you, we give a lean startup capital. And sometimes when we talk about our work, people take only that imagine that gives money. And being an NGO, people expect to get money. Remember, this money is a revolving fund. It's the money you are supposed to get, use it, and then bring it back to organization so that you give it to another person. So when we started, everyone whom we would train, we give you money. So, but when it comes to bringing back the money, some of them started dragging and like, it's an NGO, we don't expect to demand money. So what we did to address that is that right now, before we give you the money, we start involving first of all the leadership, because we go from the district, sub-county, parish level up to the village level. So we involve those leaders in terms of selection, when we are training you, when we are listening to your ideas, when we are selecting those who are going to get money. So that when we are now supporting you and you bring back the money, we follow the same system in terms of recovery. We are involving your community leaders to ensure that if you don't bring this money, it's not imagine how it's going to lose. It is another entrepreneur in another community that you're denying the opportunity. So now what we do, we sell more of the impact someone's action does to others, and we have actually been able to realize people bringing in the money. But that was a big challenge. People thinking NGO should not give money and demand it back. But the rest of the things, and of course, again, that creates us a bigger problem of overwhelming people who would want to join the program because they hear about. So setting out the criteria very clear helps you to actually with those who would come with bad intentions. Thank you.
Great response, James. And I think there's a um, similar question around funding. Where does Imagine Her source funding to provide to participants? Do you provide fundings to participants? And if so, where do you source that from?
Thank you so very much for that question. So I'm very open. If you go to our website, you will see our partners. That one you will see our partners. So when we are developing our proposals, we put that money. Currently, that's why I was telling you in the future plan, we are hoping to raise $2.2 million. And once we raise that for our revolving fund, we shall not be asking about it. So right now, those partners who are willing to support us come knowing that there is a percentage of the money that goes to the revolving fund. Because this is our very unique model to ensure that women and youth do not only get the skills, but they get the financial support that we all acknowledged in the beginning that they need so dearly. So when we are asking for support from the well-wishers, the donors, we actually include that in our proposals. When you
Great.
look at those partners within our website,
Yeah.
they must have accepted that we should include that.
Great. Thank you so much for your response. You did speak about, menstrual hygiene and talking about menstrual being a taboo within the communities. So, as a man, how did you break the taboo within your community to accept, an entry and talk about this challenge? And how did you also include other men and boys so that they are not left out or they don't feel left out in addressing menstrual hygiene management service or, challenges around this issue?
Thank you so much, Eva. It's very interesting. One, being a man, when you start talking about menstruation itself, people are like, why you? And they start asking us questions. Why imagine her? Why not imagine him? All that, all those questions coming. But that's where the interesting conversation comes in. That's where we start challenging the people. that you as a man, if you think these things are for women, why are we here? Why are we training you how to make a usable sound? We have seen that it's affecting them. It's affecting all of us. So if I'm involved, then you too can be involved. And the most important thing about changing the mindset is identifying the community champions. When you go to a community and you get 3, 4, 5 people who rhyme with you, who agree with your thinking, you enable them understand more so that they do more of explanation, even when you're not there. So that's what we have done. When we go, even when it comes to demonstration, we get boys and the girls to break that, because at the end of the day, they will get to acknowledge that, hey, we didn't know all these things are happening. We didn't know that we can contribute, because in community we have been, tuned that these are women issues. But now them seeing a man first of all talking about it, and based on our story of the founding members of Imagine as well, it makes people understand that these things are really in the community and we need to talk about it. Of course, we have other girls as well, just to make sure that. And also, I want to just make this very clear. Even girls, to be honest with you, when we go to, for example, school, and we want to bring women, I mean, boys and girls, the girls decide to share away that they don't want to discuss their issues when boys are there. So it's a two-way system. You have to make sure that even a girl can open up her mind and say, no, it's okay to discuss these things. Your brother tomorrow will be the one to support, just like that.
That's a very interesting point, Jane. Thank you.
You're
We have
welcome.
another, I think, one or two more questions, and I know we may run out of time, so I'll quickly cover these. Um, so the question is, someone's mentioned that you've selected 3 districts that you're currently working in out of over 130 districts in Uganda. So, what was your motive behind selecting these 3 districts, and do you have plans to scale up?
Thank you so much. Yes, there's a project that I didn't even talk about. Some of you might have seen internet hubs or kiosks built, especially those of you who come from refugee camp. There's an organization called Helwell. We partner with Helwell and we build those internet kiosks where our communities, children access internet. So that gives us almost a touch of all the parts of the country, except I think the Karamoja sub-region, we end in Soroti. But when it comes to these core 3 programs, all of them, what has informed us to go to the 3 districts? One, we started in central Uganda here in terms of real implementation. So we had to scale to Kabarole and Eastern. Why are we doing this? We are being very conscious of scaling rapidly. So when we go to a community or a district, we want to learn as much as possible before we go to another, so that we don't just get ourselves everywhere and fail to deliver. So basically what informs us is data, our own learnings in-house, and there we should be able to expand. The idea is, in the next 10 years, Imagine I should not only be in Uganda, but also in other countries, basically. But we want to do that in a way that we do not drown in our own success. You might be thinking you're doing well, by the time you expand so fast, then you crash. So we're moving one at a time. So we have pivots whereby when we start in Busoga, we should be able to expand that side, the central, and of course, the western part. So imagine how we'll come to all districts with time. Yes.
Thank you, James. And with that, our last question is, what is your organization doing concerning farm product waste, such as banana and pineapple that are abundant in the country? So I know you did speak about one woman entrepreneur and her business of making dried candied fruits. So I think it could be related to that. If not, I mean, in general, what does your organization do in concerning problems around food waste, such as banana and pineapple in your country?
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. So in our model, basically, it's based on identifying the problems that you have in your community and being able to solve those problems. So the banana peelings might be an issue here, it may not be an issue in another district, for example. So what the organization is doing is that what are those common challenges that you have? And you have seen, I think, two of our entrepreneurs that I've just showed you, they're using this organic waste, which includes, of course, the banana peelings, as well as the pineapple peelings. So, for example, Farida does not have to throw the peelings away and, of course, damage the environment. After that, she has to repurpose that for other uses in the community, in the household setting. So, but the too many or too much waste in terms of food waste is a problem that we all need to come in. And having known about entrepreneurship, I challenge you today as well. What can we do together, even in your own individual way, to address such challenges? If you see a problem, if you act on it, we turn that into an opportunity. So right now, what we're doing is to get a force of entrepreneurs who are able to see such problems and do something about it. Eva, you're on mute. You're on mute. You please, yeah, yes.
You think I would know, but I did not. Thank you.
Yeah.
With that, we come to an end of the Q&A session. Thank you so much for everyone who have sent in your questions in the chat box and the registration form. I have James, if you can go to the last slide with your contact details. James is happy to connect with you after this webinar if you would like to know more about his organization's work. You can see on the screen his LinkedIn profile name as well as his email ID, and I'm sharing with you his website link in case you're interested in knowing more about the organization. So please do get in touch with James if you have any questions about his projects around social enterprise, green entrepreneurship, and how he supports his community in Uganda. Similarly, if you would like to get in touch with him on LinkedIn, please do so. His email address is also on the screen. With that, we do come to an end of the webinar, and I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the CSE community to thank James for the wonderful webinar delivery, the wonderful webinar presentation on your work, on what Imagine Her does to support women and youth in Uganda, and for sharing that information with our scholars and alumni. I hope you have all found this useful. And thank you so much for joining this webinar. Thank you, James. And as I have mentioned, we do have a post-webinar networking session, which will start shortly. So please do stay online and connect with your fellow attendees and share information. If you have personal experiences of starting a social enterprise, or you would like to learn more about it, do take this opportunity to network with your fellow attendees. James, any final words before we end the webinar?
Thank you so much, Eva, again. My final word is a word of thanks to CSC again for giving me this platform to speak about our work. There are so many alumni there who are doing wonderful work, more than even Imagine Her and myself. And giving me this opportunity is really something that I don't take for granted. I would like to thank also the attendees from your different capacities. Securing your time to come and listen to me is a huge thanks on our side and specifically on my part. Thank you so much for spending your time. And when you're in the community there, I know we have all come back. Some of you are still in school. There's a lot we need to do in our countries, that I must say. There's a lot we need to do. And if you actually put yourself to do something, however small you might think it is, it creates an impact. We need to grow our countries. We need to grow our communities together. We need to empower marginalized communities to make sure that they are empowered. And Imagine is just doing a drop in the ocean. There's a lot of work. Thank you so very much. I also want to ask those who would want to join us as Imagine Her in terms of like our work, share our work out there. If you want to support us in any kind, we really appreciate that because the women and the youth in the community need such support, really. In terms of knowledge sharing, in terms of something, resources that you think can help us grow more than we are doing, we are really open for that, including the partnership. Thank you so much, Eva, for working with me this journey since we started. You've really been so helpful in the process. Thank you so much, everyone.